The Shadow of Vengeance. I never thought I'd be here, recounting a story that feels like it belongs in the pages of a dark thriller rather than my life. But here we are, and as the rain taps against my window, echoing the turmoil inside me, I feel compelled to share. This isn't just about revenge. It's about the metamorphosis of pain into something far more terrifying. It all began with my sister, Laura. She was the light in our family, always full of life, laughter, and an unyielding desire to make the world better. She worked for a non-profit, focusing on women's rights, particularly against domestic violence. Her passion made her enemies, one of which was Judge Hale. Judge Hale was known for his leniency towards perpetrators, especially those with money or status. Laura had been vocal about his bias, rallying for change, even testifying against him in public forums. Then one night, Laura didn't return home. Her car was found crashed, but the circumstances screamed foul play. The police investigation was cursory, at best. Hale had friends in high places, and the case was quietly buried under the label of accidental death. But I knew Laura. She was too careful, too aware. Her death was no accident. It was an execution. My grief was a living thing, growing like a cancer, turning my heart into a furnace of rage. I knew I couldn't let this slide. I had to become someone else, someone who could navigate the shadows where justice had failed. I changed my name to Jack Reed, dyed my hair, and altered my appearance. I moved to the city where Hale lived, got a job with a private security firm that sometimes worked with the courthouse. It was a cover, a way to get close to Hale to watch, learn, and plan. Hale was meticulous, a man of routine and order, which I used to my advantage. I learned his day-to-day life, his habits, his vulnerabilities. He was obsessed with his reputation, his image as an untouchable figure. That was his weak point. I started small. I hacked into his personal emails, found correspondences that linked him to corrupt practices. I leaked these to the press anonymously, watching as his public image began to crack. But this was just the surface. I wanted him to feel fear, the kind that haunts you in the silence of the night. I began to manipulate his environment. I would enter his home when he was out, leaving small things out of place, or moving items from one room to another. I made sure he knew someone was watching, someone was in control. I left notes, cryptic messages that hinted at knowing his darkest secrets, his involvement in Laura's death. But psychological torment was not enough. I needed him to feel the physical fear, the isolation. I learned of his fear of the dark, something from his childhood. I would tamper with his electricity, ensuring blackouts at random times, but always when he was alone. In those moments of darkness, I'd play recordings of Laura's voice, her laughter, her pleas for justice, looped and distorted. Then came the escalation. Using my access from the security firm, I orchestrated a staged break-in at his home. I left no trace, but made it clear someone had been there, someone who knew him intimately. I stole nothing, but I left a symbol, a small, broken gavel, symbolizing the justice he had perverted. The media started to talk, not just about his corruption, but about the mysterious events surrounding him. His life became a public spectacle, his paranoia growing. I fed these fears, ensuring his every step was watched, his every move scrutinized. One night, I went further. I knew he kept a cabin in the woods, a place he went to escape scrutiny. I prepared it as a stage for my final act. I went there before him, set up surveillance, and when he arrived, I cut off all communication with the outside world. I played the recordings again, but this time, the cabin was filled with images of Laura, her face everywhere, watching him, accusing him. I didn't hurt him physically, but the psychological impact was devastating. He left that cabin a different man, broken, paranoid, his career in tatters. He resigned from his position, his health deteriorated, and he ended up in a facility for mental health treatment, haunted by the ghost of my sister. a ghost I had conjured. I stopped then, not because I felt mercy, but because I saw what I had become. The person who could orchestrate such a downfall, who could delve so deeply into another's fear and pain, was a stranger to me. I had lost parts of myself in this revenge, parts I wasn't sure I'd ever find again. Now, years later, I share this, not for absolution, but as a warning. Revenge might feel like the hand of justice, but it's a dark path that leads to your own destruction. The shadow of vengeance doesn't just darken the life of your target, it eclipses your own soul.